Tom Donald from the London Contemporary School of Piano, and today we're going to unlock the power of the pentatonic scale. So what is the pentatonic scale? We're going to talk about what it is, we're going to talk about how we can use it, we're going to talk about where it comes from. Exactly what is the pentatonic scale? Well, anthropologists believe that the pentatonic scale is the oldest scale of the human race. In early days of the human race, the pentatonic music was used in all folk music around the world, including cultures that had no contact with each other. It is a human, universal scale, just like the 5 fingers on our hands. This scale has 5 notes. It's also one of the easiest scales to sing. It's the most natural scale for us human beings to sing. I don't care if you tell me that you're tone deaf and you can't sing. A human pentatonic scale has such a close connection with us. It is one of the most singable scales and one of the most natural scales that we can play and explore. And not only it's a scale used in all folk and traditional music around the world, it's a scale that's still very much used today in popular music. It's been used for centuries and centuries, and it doesn't seem to ever go away. We put together this massive resources pack that are summaries of many YouTube videos of training that we put out there to the public, and you can access this free resources pack just by emailing us or getting in touch with us at our website, contemporaryschoolofpiano.com. So how do we leverage a pentatonic scale on the piano? Where do we find it? Well, firstly, it's very easy to find a pentatonic scale on the piano. You could teach this to a child. And in fact, if you have children, or if you ever teach music to children, you want to show them a trick on the piano, you can jam pentatonic music with them straight away. I think this should be taught in all first piano lessons, quite frankly, because it's just such an easy way to get started into music. And it's such a scale that we're so familiar with the sound of. All of the black keys on the piano, for instance, is a pentatonic scale. So where have we heard this before? Well, it really doesn't matter from what part of the world. Some sort of pentatonic scale has been used. So whether it's an Irish folk song, a Chinese folk song, a Japanese song, a folk song from India, all the way through to Africa, all the way through to American gospel, there will be, in all of these cultures, an example of pentatonic music taking place. And there's just something very core to our humanity about the pentatonic scale. So on the piano, an instrument that is tuned to the equal temperament tuning system, that means it has the ability to change key and move around the circle of fifths, we can play the pentatonic scale in a whole bunch of different keys, not just by playing the black keys, which is obviously a very easy way to do it. There are ways we can find the pentatonic scale in the other keys. So let's have a look and figure out how to do this. So quite simply, a pentatonic scale is very much related to a major scale. A major scale, like a C major scale, for instance, is a later scale in the human development of music. The major scale, for instance, manages to fit an 8-note octave with a series of tones and semitones between it. And this is a scale that's very much native to the piano keyboard design. So to turn a major scale into a pentatonic scale, we just need to remove 2 notes out of the scale. And those 2 notes, in the case of C major, would be F and B. You notice the F and B have a dissonant sound when put together. That's called a tritone, and they're very much man-made notes. But they do fill the gaps of the pentatonic scale to create more tension in the music. If we remove those 2 notes, we're left with the pentatonic scale. So you could say that a pentatonic major scale is the 4th and the 7th being removed out of a major scale. So a pentatonic scale equals a major scale minus 4 and 7. And you could do this in any major key. Let me get D major. There it is. I've just played a D major scale, but I've removed the 4th and 7th note. That's a full D major scale. I remove the 4 and 7, and I get the pentatonic scale, the major pentatonic scale, D major. Let me try this in another key. What about G major? And again, I just remove the 4th and 7th note, which is C and F sharp. And in the end, I end up with 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 1. The pentatonic scale is a very effective scale to improvise on. And this is where the real power of the scale can be harnessed and used. If you're playing, and this is a really good way to practice, if you just play along with the track, any song, just get some of your favorite music, you can improvise alongside the music playing a pentatonic scale, even if the music is far more advanced and using lots of other notes. So for instance, if you get any song that's, let's say, in the key of F major, you could then play an F major pentatonic against that song and improvise. So here's a couple of quick pointers for improvising with the pentatonic scale. A lot of students get really stuck because they're looking for the ultimate fingering scheme to play the pentatonic scale with. But there's a slight problem there. Unlike conventional major scales, where the fingering is fairly black and white, it's fairly obvious what the most typical fingerings might be for those scales, the pentatonic scale has not been designed for the piano. It's a scale that predates the piano, and it really doesn't have the same symmetry on the piano that, let's say, a standard major scale has. So therefore, it means that there are very many fingerings you can use, multiple fingerings you can use to play a pentatonic major scale. So I'm going to suggest 1 or 2 fingerings to try just to start you off. The key question that you want to ask yourself is, where do I want to put my thumb? I could practice by putting my thumb on the C and E. And I could also practice it by putting my thumb on the C and G. Honestly, it really doesn't matter what fingering you use, because the way you're going to play and improvise a pentatonic scale is often through less symmetrical phrases. The last way you really want to be playing pentatonic scales is in an arbitrary way, actually like the way I just played it. Think of that as like going to a nice, beautiful beach where there's no tourists around, there's no infrastructure, just a nice, natural, gorgeous beach just with sand and water, and just taking a generic photo of it. And it's quite a boring photo. This is a natural scale, and the way we want to use a natural scale in music is to capture its beauty. And you don't really capture its beauty just by walking up and down the piano in a generic way. So you actually immediately want to start improvising on the scale and mixing the notes up. And that also involves mixing your fingering up a bit. Lifting your hand, putting your thumb in different places on different notes. Maybe adding a bass line. By the way, when you add a bass line, it doesn't have to follow the pentatonic scale. It could just follow a major scale. See, I'm using an F in the bass here, which is not in the pentatonic scale. So the pentatonic scale is quite powerful when it's combined with non-pentatonic music, such as more complex chords. That's why it's so effective in jazz. It's almost like a place of more simplistic nature we can go back to within the more complicated urban world of fancy jazz chords. And on top of that, you still got this beautiful pentatonic scale shining like a light alongside the complexity. So the pentatonic scale is not a scale that we necessarily stick to in its entirety. We can use it as an effect on top of more complex structures, and that's where it can be a very exciting scale to use. Now, some of you might still need a bit more direction than that. I can hear some of you still saying, but what do I practice? I need some more structure. And if you need that more structure, I'm going to suggest a way you can practice this scale that's a bit better than just going up and down the keyboard. And it's going more up and down in a repetitive way. And I think this ends up being a better way to practice it. So I'm moving in all of the different positions that I could use inside that scale. It's almost like chord inversions. And it just sets me up for more fluid improvisation within a pentatonic scale. And of course, it doesn't need to be in C major. In any key you want it to be. And obviously F sharp major is a great one to practice it in, using all of the black keys. And we're going to finish off with one party trick here. I'm now going to teach you how to play an E flat minor blues scale. And the E flat minor blues scale has exactly the same notes almost as the F sharp major pentatonic scale. The E flat minor blues scale uses all of the black keys. We just add one extra note to it. And this is where the pentatonic scale is very exciting, because adding just one or two extra notes to the pentatonic scale creates a completely new mode. And the blues is very much related to pentatonic music. It's basically a pentatonic scale with one added note. And you can really see this in context of the sharps and the flats on the piano. For instance, I play all of the black keys, and now I'm just going to add an A. And that's the blues note. And then I get a blues scale, a minor blues scale. So I'm playing all of the black keys now, and now I'm going to slip in the A. Good to also combine notes at the same time. We put together this massive resources pack that are summaries of many, many YouTube videos of training that we put out there to the public. And you can access this free resources pack just by emailing us or getting in touch with us at our website, contemporaryschoolofpiano.com. This is a trick I love to teach beginner students. I can teach someone in their very, very first piano lesson, a complete beginner to piano, an E flat minor blues scale in the first lesson. Now, if you look at our conventional Western theory system, you would think, well, E flat minor blues scale, a little bit too complex for a beginner, too many flats on the key signature. Well, sometimes you have to just push that theory aside and actually look at the keyboard and the way the keyboard has been designed, and also just look at us and listen as human beings. The pentatonic scale is so natural to us. We already know the scale. It's built in our DNA. It's one of the easiest scales to sing. You don't really have to think of the notes, they just fall under dum. And there's an element of music that is so exciting that we don't talk about enough, because our show business world is very much set up in an egotistical way. If a pop star writes a song that's really famous and gets in the top 10, and it's just a pentatonic song, we just go, oh, he's a genius. Oh, wonderful music. Oh, yeah, he's really hit the big time. But the reality is, what many of us composers and musicians are doing when we play music is we're just connecting with nature. We're just connecting with something that is musically natural. And all of us have the ability to do that to some extent. There might be certain scales that you resonate with more, and that's where your individual areas of preference may lie. But when someone writes a song on a pentatonic scale, and there's still many, many, many songs being written on this scale, it's not really about the individual artist. They're actually not really writing their own song. They're just using elements of nature to create music of their own, or just creating their little space with it. and just, it's like going on a nice holiday to the beach. You can just lie there and on the sand and take it all in. And that's really what pentatonic improvisation is. So I invite you to be part of that. It's a gift for us all to play with. I'm going to jam us out on the black keys. You can join in with me. Time to add that A and get bluesy. If you enjoy our tutorials at the London Contemporary School of Piano, if you visit our website and get in touch with our team, our website is contemporaryschoolofpiano.com. So just visit our website, contemporaryschoolofpiano.com, and ask for our free resources pack. We put together this massive resources pack that are summaries of our many, many YouTube videos of training that we put out there to the public. And you can access this free resources pack just by emailing us or getting in touch with us at our website, contemporaryschoolofpiano.com. But if you're really, really serious about making big strides and progress in your piano playing, what you really need is individualized, personalized coaching that will take your playing to the next level using our diagnostics and our expertise in getting individual musical journeys and finding what your individual musical journey looks like and how you can make huge improvements and fulfilling changes to your musical life. It's been a pleasure seeing you today. I look forward to seeing you on the next tutorial. Bye-bye.